Hello everyone, and here is the story how I was denied to leave Brazil. In this video I will share my airport story, all the chaos and practical advice in case you will ever find yourself in a similar situation. Everything I'm talking about regarding regulations and entry rules is only accurate for this moment in 2025 when I am recording. So let's start with what actually happened at the airport. So I arrived at the airport late in the evening. Everything was fine. I had my ticket to Thailand. But then things started to go wrong. First, the check-in agent told me I couldn't board without a return ticket from Thailand. So I had to buy one right there on the spot. So I grabbed the cheapest possible option, a ticket to Cambodia. But then she said that I still couldn't get on the plane. They asked for a CIVP, and honestly, I had no idea what that even was or that it was required to fly to Thailand. I had been to Thailand before and nobody ever asked for vaccines or anything like that. And by the way, it was Ethiopian Airlines. They are notorious for demanding return tickets from everyone every single time. I get the rule, but honestly, it is so annoying. I swear, after that experience, I don't think I will ever fly with them again. At that point, I was honestly in shock. I had been traveling for years and nothing like this had ever happened to me before. I was standing there in the middle of the airport feeling completely lost, trying to figure out what to do next. I had no idea what was happening, no one explained clearly at first, so I started digging into it, trying to understand why they wouldn't let me on board. And that's when I found out that Brazil is officially considered a high-risk country for yellow fever. Which honestly would have been nice to know in advance, right? I had been traveling around Brazil for months. No one ever mentioned it, and I never saw any warnings at the airports. But apparently, if you are flying from Brazil to certain countries like Thailand, you are required to show a CIVP, an international certificate of vaccination for yellow fever. So yeah, now it all made sense. But it didn't make it any easier to fix. Of course, I had to stay in São Paulo and deal with it. So first things first, I went to get that damn yellow fever shot. And that's when it got even more complicated. Because it turned out that getting the vaccine was actually the easiest part. The real problem was getting the CIVP, that international certificate. Apparently, they don't issue it in Anvisa anymore, like they used to do it before. I couldn't believe how complicated it had become. Now, it's only done through an online system where someone with a Brazilian CPF, a kind of local ID number, has to fill out a form for you. And then you wait up to 10 days for them to process it. Which is insane because I had no idea if they would even approve it in the end. Seriously, it felt like a bureaucratic nightmare. And to make things even better, my visa-free stay in Brazil was about to expire, so waiting another week or more with no guarantee of anything just didn't seem like an option. Since nearby countries mostly also required the certificate, my only realistic way out was to fly across the Atlantic. And luckily there were flights to Turkey, and at least at that moment they didn't ask for a yellow fever vaccination. Still, I was obviously terrified that the same thing might happen again. So I even went to the Turkish Airlines counter in São Paulo airport just to double check that they would actually let me on the plane. Once they confirmed it, I booked a flight to Istanbul, found an Airbnb for 11 days just to make sure that enough time would pass since living in Brazil and before flying to Thailand, because some countries kind of check that 10-day window after leaving high-risk country. And that is how I finally managed to leave Brazil. So now I am in Turkey, finally relaxed, and honestly, I feel such a huge relief. The biggest lesson I learned: check vaccination rules as carefully as you possibly can before traveling. Even then, you probably won't get everything right, but at least you'll probably avoid big surprises like this one. And you know what would have happened if they had let me board the plane in Brazil? Absolutely nothing, really. In Thailand, they would have just given me that damn yellow fever vaccine and probably sent me to quarantine for several days. Oh. Thank you for watching. If you liked this story, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.